in this scenario, the clinical educator thinks he's doing the right thing. He gives the student detailed feedback, but doesn't acknowledge anything that she does well. He fails to use positive body language by placing something between him and the student. He doesn't facilitate discussion. He also doesn't take into account what the student's saying or the body language that she's using.
Okay then. Thanks, Mrs. Mills.
Hey, Jet. See you, bud.
Oh, how do you think that went?
Wasn't great.
No, it wasn't. There are three important things we need to talk about, Emma. Your ability to gain rapport, your behaviour management, and that also includes when a child doesn't want to be cooperative, and your preparation for a session.
Here we go again. I'm going to hear all the things I know I did really badly. I'm not going to cry. I'm not going to cry.
Well, I think the reason the session didn't go well is you seemed unprepared. Had you looked at the assessment?
Only briefly. I really only get an hour's break at uni, and it's not always easy to get to an assessment.
Because you took so long to work out what you wanted to say and what page you were on, Jet got really bored. And then he refused, and you didn't have any strategies to get him back on task. Next time you do an assessment, you need to make sure you know it well. Practice it with a friend. I also want you to come up with a list of strategies you can use when a 4-year-old won't engage you. Jet's back next week, isn't he?
Yeah.
Okay, well, you've got to finish the assessment. We just can't keep assessing him. Look, I'm sorry, Emma, I've got to take this. We'll talk about it later, okay?
Yeah, sure. It's fine.
Oh, no. I thought clear and specific was what I was supposed to do with my feedback. Now what? Look, Emma, it wasn't that bad. Okay, just take a break and we'll have a talk later.
In this scenario, the clinical educator has more positive body language, but he's not really clear about the message that he's trying to communicate. And as a result, the student doesn't know what to do with the information.
See you, Jet. See you, bud.
Have a seat, Emma. So how do you think that went?
It wasn't great.
Yeah, it can be difficult. What do you think happened?
Well, Jet was just completely out of control. I couldn't believe his mother just sat there and didn't say anything. I mean, he didn't want to do any of the activities that I had for him, so he just started running around. Do you think he has ADHD or something?
She has clearly missed what just went on. I need to get Emma to reflect on her actions and how they contributed to Jet's behaviour. Look, I don't think Jet has ADHD. You have to be really careful about making those assumptions. What else may have happened in that session?
I don't know. What do you do when they won't even sit still? He just doesn't seem ready for this kind of assessment.
Well, I think it was the right assessment. I think the administration had some issues. What do you think? Did you have a chance to go through the test like we talked about last week?
Only briefly. I mean, I don't get much of an opportunity to look at assessments at uni, and I don't get any opportunity to look at them here. I don't really think that was the issue, though. I think Jet's behaviour was the problem.
Well, maybe we need to talk a bit about behaviour management.
I'm not sure what he wants me to do here. He never really tells me what I need to change, and he doesn't notice any of the good things I do.
In this scenario, the clinical educator is really busy. He's positive, but he just hasn't dedicated uninterrupted time to give the student feedback.
So, how do you think that went?
Wasn't great.
No, it wasn't one of your best. I didn't get to see all the session, but I'm sure some of it went okay.
Jet was completely out of control. I didn't really know what to do.
Emma, I'm really sorry, but our next client's in 15 minutes, and I've got to call her teacher. She's only available now. We'll have a good chat about behavioural management in our next group discussion.
Yeah, isn't that next week?
Yes, so fill in your reflection sheet now so you can get your thoughts down. We'll chat about it at next group.
Won't I have to see Jet before then? Do I just try the same assessment again?
Yeah, so maybe you should start thinking about some behaviour strategies now. Have you done those at uni yet?
It came up in one of our tutorials.
Great. Email me a session plan and I'll have a look. Look, I'm sorry, Emma, but I really do have to go.
I don't even know what went wrong. How do I reflect on that?
So in this scenario, the clinical educator and student are communicating really well. The clinical educator allows the student time to reflect on her performance. He then sits down with the student, so there's positive body language and he's engaging her in discussion. He's dedicated time for feedback, so it's uninterrupted. He's using lots of positive body language, so he's communicating that he's genuinely interested in that student and her performance. So the clinical educator's feedback is really clear and specific and builds in on some students' goals. He's actively listening to the student and validates her comments with his own non-verbal body language.
Have a seat, Ellen. Let me make sure I turn this off. Okay. So how do you think that went?
It wasn't great.
There were some good things and some bits that we should discuss. Why don't you finish packing up, then fill out a reflection sheet. Start with the things you believe you did well, and then the bits that you wish to discuss later. No rush, I've got 15 minutes until my next appointment. Okay? So have you had enough time to get your thoughts together over the session?
I think so, yeah.
Okay. So, tell me what you think you did well.
I think I gained rapport okay. I mean, Jet really liked the game of Pop-Up Pirate that we played, and he seemed happy to talk to me.
Yes, I think you did a good job gaining rapport. You introduced yourself and you explained what was going to happen in the session. You used appropriate language and got down to Jet's level. And yeah, you're right, Jet really did respond to the Pop-Up Pirates.
Then it all went a bit pear-shaped when I tried to do the assessment. Jet just kept getting up, and his mum didn't say anything. I didn't know whether I should go mad at him or if he'd get upset.
Yeah, I agree. Things didn't seem to go well at the beginning of the assessment. What do you think some of the reasons are a child may not perform in an assessment?
Well, if the assessment's too hard, they might not want to do it.
Yeah, that's a reason. What about your administration? Did you have a chance to go through the assessment?
Oh, I thought I could wing it, but obviously not. What should I do? Only briefly. I don't really get much of a chance to look at assessments at uni, and it's so busy here. I don't get any chance to look at them here.
That's one thing we all have in common, Emma. We've all been to uni, and we all understand the pressures, time constraints, and difficulties associated with it. You're not alone. I did notice Jet started getting up from his chair when you were looking at a page or trying to look up what to do next.
He was probably bored.
It's important to know the assessment before you administer it, or you're going to validate the results. Let's go back to your learning contract and build in a goal about test administration.
I just didn't know what to do when he was running around. Should I have gotten mad at him?
It's okay to be clear about your expectations with a child. That doesn't mean you have to go mad. Just be clear about what is acceptable. It also helps having behaviour strategies to deal with such behaviour.
Where would I get that?
Oh, you can borrow some of the resources I have.